Hello guys, Max is here and today we're gonna be building something extremely fun. I have here a Terminator Chaplain Tarentus box. As you can see, it is a little bit beaten up because I purchased it secondhand, but nevertheless the content is intact and we will proceed to it in a moment. Before we do that, I would really like to talk a little bit about the history of Terminator Chaplains. I anticipated that it was the second one because I know for a fact there was another one in plastic made in year 2016, which looks somewhat similar to Tarentus, so it also has very ornate armor. It has a lot of skulls and it looks really similar to Tarentus, but Tarentus is a bit cooler, and I will explain in a moment why. It was apparently at least 7 Terminator Chaplains that were made in metal, so it was 1997, 2000, 2002, 2004, 2005, 2009, 2010, and apparently, after that, in year 2013 or 14, depending on the packaging and pictures online, there was another one in fine cast. It looked like a normal firstborn Terminator Space Marine, and only after that there was a plastic collector's edition Terminator Chaplain in year 2016. So what makes this one really cool is that the Terminator Chaplain Tarentus is the first one that has been made after primary Space Marines were introduced in 2017. So this one is from 2020. It was released on Halloween. This guy has more Primaris-like Terminator proportions, somewhat similar to Space Marine Heroes Series 2, where Terminators are in very dynamic poses, and we have built at least one of them before on this channel. So this one is looking really cool because he is kind of Primaris Space Marine, even though Primaris Terminators have not been there until year 2023 or 2024. Last year, in year 2023, there was another Terminator Chaplain. I think he was part of some box, then they released him as a separate mini. Most of those Terminator Chaplains are using the same weaponry. Basically, they have Crozius Arcanum, which is this fancy looking thing. And then there is usually a combi bolter, but Tarentus differs from all those earlier and modern Terminator Chaplains by having a combi flamer. So you can see that instead of 2 bolters here, he has a flamer and a bolter. So this mini is fairly cool, and it is somewhat tricky to find these days. But nevertheless, we were able to secure one using power of eBay and online purchases. So we will just go ahead and build this one. So let's see what's in the box. You can see that the box has been beaten up a little bit. We have set of instructions and we have sprue. And the reason there is nothing else in the box is because we have a base over here. And you can see that I have already lost the shoulder pad. Good thing that I didn't drop it on the floor, so it was here, it was number 6. We will just put it here. Let's take a look at this fella. So he does not have any optionality in the instructions. We basically gonna use all the parts that are there. This is totally fine because he actually looks really cool. So let's just go ahead and start building him. We will start with the lower body, number 4 and number 5. This is number 4 and this is number 5. Alright, number 4 and number 5 are prepared. What is really cool about this mini is that it is done so well. It doesn't have a lot of mold line to remove. It is also perfectly fine to build this mini without any glue, but we prefer using glue on this channel, so I'm just gonna go ahead and shorten the pins here and here. But if you assemble without glue, you don't have to do that. Alright, let's dry fit the parts. So it should be like this, sitting like this. Let's glue him. So in our case, we're gonna put some glue on the pins and on the parts that definitely gonna be covered. Alright, the lower body is done. Now we need to prepare the back, the upper front, and the head. We start with the head number 1. This is number 1. Alright, the head is done. Look how ornate it is. I like the skull helmets. This is number 2. Number 2 is prepared. So the head is supposed to be sitting here on this pin, like this. Let's attach it directly. I'm gonna shorten the pin a little bit. And I'm going to put some glue over here and on the pin. So the head is supposed to be sitting on the pin over there, like this. Looks perfect. And now to part number 3. This is number 3. Upper torso and the cape with Crosshair's Arcanum are prepared. Now we are supposed to combine all 3 of those things together over here using this pin. So it should be going through these holes like this. We're gonna do this in 2 steps. So I'm gonna glue first this part and this part. And after that, I will insert the part number 2 with a head. In order to do that, I'm gonna glue here. Should technically be enough for me to attach them together, like this. In the meanwhile, I am going to shorten slightly this pin, because I'm not entirely sure it's not gonna be too long. Probably will. So I'm just gonna shorten it a little bit. I know for a fact that these parts are gonna be glued. So I'm just gonna put some stuff over here. And I am going to attach the front part over here, like this. Here we go. This is how it looks assembled. Very, very, very nice. We continue with the part number 6, which is the shoulder pad. We have seen that it fell off our sprue because the sprue was slightly damaged, so we will use this one. So let's see how it is supposed to be sitting here. So it should be on this shoulder. I'm going to put some glue over here. Be prepared, this shoulder pad, the pin that it sits on is a little bit tight, so you might want to be careful when you apply force. But other than that, I think this is how it's supposed to be looking like. After that, we proceed to the left arm, number 7 and number 8. This is number 7 and this is number 8. Number 7, this hand with a bolter, requires some drilling. So I'm just gonna do exactly this. So the gods of drilling are with us today. I managed to drill really nice holes over here and here. Now to the flamer part. The flamer is ready. I also drilled a little bit over here. Now let's try feed them together. So they should be sitting together like this, somewhat like this. I'm gonna shorten the pin and I'm gonna glue them. And since I'm gluing, I'm gonna put some glue on the pin and around this area. Here we go. And our combi flamer is prepared. Now we need to put the arm in place. So it should be sitting on this pin. And it should be sitting somewhat like this. I'm gonna make the pin a little bit shorter and then I'm gonna glue it. So in this case, I will put some glue over here. That should be enough. And we know from the pictures that this is the correct positioning, and actually the pin will not allow you to put the hand into any other position, so it should really stick in this one, like this. The only part that is left now is the base, number 9. This is number 9. So this base looks incredibly cool. We can see some sort of piping over there, some sort of imperial aquila on the ground, and this looks somewhat like a part from a flamer or something. And there is also skull and bones here. I don't know what that means, but that looks really cool. So he is supposed to be standing on the base like this. So I will add glue here around the area he is standing on, and that should be enough for us to glue him. This is how he looks like. One thing that I should have mentioned, you only want to assemble this mini this way if you are not particularly picky about painting it afterwards. I know that some people prefer to paint these kind of minis partially assembled and then assemble them afterwards. I myself prefer to paint already assembled minis because it is a little bit easier for me. However, in this case, if you are assembling him part by part, what I would recommend doing is to paint the cape separately, because you can see that there are areas over here at the back that might be tricky to get to. Also, there is some details over here that will be really challenging to paint if the mini is completely assembled. I would just not bother, but some people might wanna paint them separately. So what I would do in those cases would be to paint this part separately, this one separately, and then assemble them together. So it does not really matter that much for the shoulder pad and this arm, because this arm is easily accessible from pretty much any angle, and the shoulder pad is covering a large part of the right arm. But for the cape, it might be beneficial to paint it beforehand separately and then glue these parts together. So the fun part with this mini is that it is very, very, very ornate. And when you paint him, he looks really cool. I like this mini so much that apparently I possess 2 more of those assembled. So the initial idea was to try to, so this is even primed, so I was about to paint him. He looks actually quite cool in the dark color, on the black color. But the idea was to try to assemble him for Death Watch, and I failed miserably because this shoulder pad, where the Death Watch shoulder pad should be, is really hard to disassemble, so it basically glued to the arm. And as you can see, I did not drill any holes over here, which I will probably do after I am done with this video. There are some holes on the black mini though, so this is totally fine. I really enjoy this Terminator Chaplain. So in the end, I would say that this mini is incredibly fun to build. It is fairly easy. I would consider that to be a fairly easy mini to assemble. Nothing really tricky is going on here. So the only thing that you might want to consider here is partial assembly for painting the cape from the back, but this is totally fine. As you can see when you prime him, and this mini has been built as one piece. I did not partially assemble this one. You can see that he is dark from all the sides. He is supposed to be black anyway, as you can see from this picture, so you can just leave parts that's not easy to access as black, and I think you can get away with that. Really enjoyable, and yeah, I would probably even build more of those. I don't know how to use them, but I will probably paint them in different chapters. So one of them is definitely going to be an ultramarine, and another one is probably gonna be in Imperial Fists. I still would like to figure out how to build one in Death Watch, but that would require tinkering with the left hand. And here we have it, my friends. This is Terminator Chaplain Tarentus, built successfully. Really cool miniature, commemorative series miniature, and this is the second plastic Terminator Chaplain. I remind you that there is another one, 2016 collector's edition, looking very similar but different. Maybe we will have a chance to build that one too, but when I look online, it is prohibitively expensive. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked it, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.